Thank you, Unity Band. You know, I had an idea the other day that this wonderful music at the beginning, and we have 2 dance floors here in the sanctuary, that when we're on location, there can be a little dance, in front of the service. People like to get a little movement in after all that sitting around doing quarantine. Yeah. Well, good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum, and I'm my pleasure to be here this morning with you as we step into Unity's mission of spiritually awakening to our oneness with God, with each other, and with all creation. And our mission comes from the idea, the vision that is held by Unity worldwide of seeing a world powerfully awakened to the growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. And the idea of shared is so important because it lets us know that it's not a right and perfect path, it's not having the right answers, but it's honoring ourselves and each other, whatever path we are on, and wherever we are on that path. So I'd like to begin with an ecumenical prayer. As we affirm that the enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us, the compassion of the Christ moves through us, the power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us, the presence of Allah surrounds and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. Well, it's been another very full week around the world, still Pride Month, and unfortunately it's one of those anniversaries that wasn't so happy 6 years ago when the shooting happened at the Pulse in Orlando at a gay club down there, and just memories of the lives that were lost. Good news this week, possible breakthrough treatment for Alzheimer's. So, we forget that in spite of COVID going on, there's other diseases going on in the world and people that are dealing with other health challenges. So it's kind of nice to know there's movement and energy going in there. And then the big excitement, the world leaders meeting peacefully, wonderfully, and coming up with a great plan for getting the vaccine out to everybody in the world, because really the whole world needs to be helped through this pandemic. So I love it seeing leaders working together, maybe making some strides on ecological fronts, so that's kind of great. And then coming up Saturday, if you're a white person like me, you may not realize this, but it's Juneteenth, and that's the anniversary that they mark for when slaves were brought into the United States. So it's a whole gamut of humanity. And knowing that humanity is filled with celebration and breakthroughs and also filled with unskilled behavior and those that might even have some regrets, we like to start by praying together for our neighbors, knowing that neighbors are anyone we share this planet with. And so we just take a moment to bless our neighbors. We pray with understanding and compassion in our hearts, knowing that divine light always shines, even in the darkest moments. We acknowledge and forgive our past trespasses as we make amends and commit to do better. We bless the continued work of our medical community and other essential workers, those devoted to serving others in times of need. We bless those in grief, whatever their loss, knowing that God is their strength. We bless the diversity of life, the richness of uniqueness, and the growing edge of love expressing. We lift our gaze to remember our shared humanity, our unity, centered in God's divine presence within. We know the truth for each person in our neighborhood, each person, each life form on this planet. We are guided by wisdom arising in love as we act in ways that foster peace and wholeness for all. And so it is. Amen. And in prayer, we just continue with a blessing for Unity Spiritual Center, which in essence is you and me. So it's a prayer for ourselves as we affirm for our community. We lift Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing embraces its journey of spiritual growth. We bless our times of wandering and wondering. We give thanks that each path that ended redirected our attention to a new path of bountiful blessings. We are right now emerging as a greater expression of love, a force for good in our neighborhood and in our own lives. We are receptive to the handprint of God guiding us to a greater understanding, to fields of unlimited possibilities, to new opportunities, to be a meaningful light shining in our world. And so it is. Alo, shalom, amen, namaste. So normally at this time we used to call it Reach Out and Touch. and of course things have changed. So what's going to be happening as we come back on location with Together, which it's going to be happening very soon. We're going to be sitting at tables, and I'm going to give you a question each week that you can talk to other people at your table about. So this week I would give you a choice, and if you're watching live with us, if you're on Facebook, you can put your comments on there and share with other ones that are on Facebook. So what is your intention for the day? Last week we talked about intention. So what kind of day do you want to have today? Or what kind of week do you want to have? And if you're not into intentions, I'll give you a little mind stretcher. What law of the universe have you tried to break? What law of the universe have you tried to break? And so during this time when we're together, we'll give you a few minutes to talk about that at the table. I don't know, maybe we'll have the band play a little background music. We're just working that out. You don't have to do that right now. Jeff's head came up, but just looking at how we can do things going differently. And it'll give you a chance to connect with each other in new and different ways. So just sitting in those questions. No right or wrong answers, just being in the question. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Stacey Ames, who's doing platform for us today. Over to you, Stacey.
Good morning. I'm Stacey Ames, and I'm your platform assistant today. Today's daily word is word peace, inspired by the prophet Micah, who wrote, "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war no more." We contribute to world peace when we join in spirit with all people who dedicate themselves to expressing divine love, united in the belief that God is working within everyone. We affirm the divinity of humankind and honor each person as a unique expression of God. We recognize and release any unkind thought or feeling toward any person or group of people. We respect all others and seek to learn more about customs and beliefs that are unfamiliar to us as we grow in a spirit of kinship. We believe a warm, friendly attitude communicates our intentions as effectively as words. We smile easily and extend ourselves to others in a spirit of kinship and friendship. We remain mindful that as peace flowers between individuals, peace grows in the world. Our affirmation today is, peace shared between people spreads through the world. For the month of June, we are focusing on our core value of freedom. As we understand the nature of spirit to express and expand in infinite ways, we grasp the vastness of our own personal freedom. We have each been gifted with the freedom to be, to explore, and to express beyond any misperceived personal limitations. We experience life as a matrix of oneness, so our own freedom is mutually dependent on the freedom of others to express and to live free and unlimited. And as we have just heard in the daily word, this is a contributing factor to world peace. Freedom is a powerful force of spirit. It breathes in us as a right to life, not only for ourselves, but for every living being. Let us affirm, we champion each individual's freedom to become a full expression of spirit. Today we are coming to you by live streaming from our new sanctuary on Washington Road. While we await our occupancy permit, we continue to offer classes on Zoom. Mondays at 1:30 is A Course of Love with Lucille Olson. Our prayer circle is now meeting on Tuesday mornings from 11 to 11:30, a perfect time to take a break and join others in prayer. Thursdays at 7 o'clock is A Course in Miracles with Dan and Carol Maynard. This Thursday will be the last meeting until September, with the fun exception that A Course in Miracles pool party this Saturday will be at Dan and Carol Maynard's house. Details are on the website and the USCL discussion group Facebook page. And this Friday is our first lunch bunch gathering at Harry's Place on the west side at 1 o'clock. If you eat lunch and enjoy fun conversation, come on out. Our prayer ministry team continues to be active and available to hold you and your loved ones in prayer. Prayer requests can be made on our website, by emailing the church office, or by making a request at the Tuesday morning prayer service. Unity is offering a summer book study through Zoom so you can participate from home or even on vacation. The book is Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life. It will meet on Wednesday evenings at 6:30, beginning on July 14th for 6 weeks. You will need to pre-register so handouts can be emailed to you. Copies of the book are available at the Unity office for $11. This is a continuation of the study of compassionate communication that members of your Board of Trustees and leadership teams have already begun working on. We see this as a great tool as we emerge from quarantine as a loving community in our new space. And finally, we recently planted 114 bushes and 14 trees to meet the zoning codes. Now we need a few more people to help water these. Many of the hands make light work. If you can spare 2 hours a week, contact the church office or Peggy Higginbotham to get put on the watering schedule with our volunteers. As a note, there are chairs for while you are watering. As we prepare for the option of in-person Sunday services, some of our teams are reforming. If you would like to be part of the ushering team or the counting team, please contact the church office and we'll work with you to get you connected to the teams. And now I am pleased to invite our guest musician for this week, Linda Abar.
The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. Any fool can do it. There ain't nothing to it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. But since we're on our way down, we might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of love is in opening up your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let it stand in your way. Everyone knows that love enjoying the passage of time.
Thank you, Linda. The secret of life. Now I don't have to give a talk. Now we all know the secret of life. Now we know, that's it. Well, last week we talked about intention and attention, and I left you with an idea of BYOB. It's not trespassing if you go beyond your own boundaries, beyond your own boundaries. And I really invited you to either continue doing a set of affirmations about just increasing our self-worth, or maybe to think about adding intentions to your to-do list. You may have a to-do list of, I don't know, weeding your garden, but your intention will be to have fun doing it or enjoy being outside, whatever it might be. And I shared the intention last week for divine order, that we would get the electrician and plumber in here and everything would get approved, so we knew for sure that we were going to have our occupancy permit so we could have a big grand opening. Well, the electrician came and the plumber came. The electric passed inspection, the plumbing didn't, because we're missing some caulking. Anyway, they're going to be re-inspecting it this week. It's a very simple thing to fix, but these unexpected delays, well, I'm going to tell you this. I am sure that we may or may not be open to people joining us next week. We may or may not. And we may not know till later in the week, so watch social media, word of mouth, it'll get around whether or not we'll be able to bring people in here to do it together. But because of the uncertainty, we had planned a very special service of consecration and of the building, because we're turning this into our spiritual home, and also a blessing of this beautiful campus, these beautiful grounds, and the wildlife out there. So we have moved this special, very special, probably once-in-a-lifetime service to July 11th. I'm telling you now, so you can mark it on your calendar. And you know, I know some people will be on vacation. You can watch this live stream. And if you're here, I think it'll be something that will be really touching for your heart. But with all these things that have been going on, I really thought about Murphy's Law. You're familiar with Murphy's Law? Anything that can go wrong will. And then there's a tagline, Murphy was an optimist. And Murphy's Law is almost antithesis of unity, where we want positive thoughts, where things are manifesting. But Murphy's Law is also kind of proof of all of our unity things working, that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And we often hold those concerns in our mind, and then those concerns manifest, because that's where we've been investing our energy. And when I thought about anything go wrong will go wrong, what is wrong? Well, for me, wrong is something that's not on my timetable. Darn it, I made plans, therefore that's the right way, and if it's not on that timetable, that's the wrong way. But in truth, this law of mind action, when things don't seem to be appearing as we've planned, is really an expression, I think, of divine order. Because every time things happen, when you get the bigger picture, it makes sense. But I know that for the last couple years, it feels like it's been, hurry up, wait. Hurry up, wait. It's just been this constant go, and then we hit another delay or a block. And when I was thinking about this thing of hurry up and wait, I was thinking about when the people came over on the Mayflower. That's a pretty long trip from Europe over to discover North America, land in North America and set up settlements. Do you know how fast they traveled? 2 miles an hour. It is 6,000 and some miles from Europe to here. Now, darn it, that's close to a whole year they were on the ship. No Wi-Fi, no television, no entertainment. Just wonder what they did during that time. Can you imagine the patience they must have had? Or back in the 30s, when airlines first started flying, British Airways, they had this flight that they flew from England to Australia. Commonwealth, they would plan. But the problem was planes didn't go very far at that time in any one jump. So you'd get on in London and land in northern France, and then you take off from there to southern France, and then you go to Rome and to Cairo, and you do all these hops. Well, anytime they would stop, they would land, there's a chance for something to go wrong. Like this one woman got on this flight, and they got to northern France, and the engine Something went wrong with it. So they had to wait for an engine to be boated over from England. So a little delay there. Then they got to southern France, and there was a weather storm that came in, so then that got delayed. And on this trip went, this airplane trip went on and on and on. Finally, they got to Singapore. And she said to one of the airline people there, she says, do you think we will really get to Australia in just maybe a couple more weeks? And she says, I'm pregnant. I'd like to get there before I have this baby. And he goes, oh, ma'am, you shouldn't have gotten on this flight if you knew if you were this far along your pregnancy. She goes, when I got on this flight, I didn't even know I was pregnant. But we all have delays in our life. It's constant. There's people that do these things. I don't know what moves them to do these things. But they figured out that we spend 6 months of our lives in line waiting for things. 6 months of our life waiting. How about 43 days on the telephone on hold? If you think about it, boy, there's, even with computers, sometimes you're chatting and you're waiting for them to respond back to your chat. Plus, and that's not even counting when you're waiting in doctor's offices, you're waiting for airport security lines, going through them. You got to get to the airport with 3 hours now before you go in. Heavy traffic, of course, causes all kinds of delays. And if you take the bus, they figure you probably wait a total of 27 days in your lifetime waiting for buses. Truth is, we're all going to miss flights. We're going to get stuck in heavy traffic. We're going to get put on hold. So if we're going to hurry up about anything, we need to hurry up and get patient. Hurry up and get patient. Because when we get patient about things, life gets easier. I tell you, the relief I got when we postponed the big blessing ceremony to July 11th, I can take a breath. I can take a breath. We don't have to rush. We got ease and grace. We can relax and enjoy the ride in this great unfoldment of Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. So I like to call Unity's law maybe the law of blessings, because in every delay there's a blessing. And it was back as October 28th, 2018, that we were at Home Street, and after service we went outside with special sparkly dust, and we did a groundbreaking for the addition to make the building handicap accessible. A groundbreaking. We dug in there. We were ready to go. And then the basement didn't even get dug. But then the heavy rains came, and we go, well, it's a good thing we didn't dig the basement, because it would have cost us more money to get the pumps to get the water out of the basement. We get in there. And on these things went. And then, of course, there was this thing called a fire that happened in September 2019. And then after the fire, we had to decide as a congregation, do we restore the building or do we move? And we talked that through, and we finally decided we're going to restore the building. And then COVID shut everything down after we had spent months getting permits from the city. March 13th, we got the final permit to go ahead and rebuild. And then the next week, Michigan shut down. All construction, everything was shut down. When things finally opened, of course, the building prices had increased. We could not afford to restore the building, let alone make it handicap accessible. And it was at that dead end that we ended up finding this beautiful, beautiful place. So the Murphy's Law, for me, has been a blessing, because I see that it allowed us to be at the right place at the right time with the right resources. None of my plans measured up. I didn't hear anybody else, even our collective plans, did not measure up to the divine plan that finally unfolded. And with the current delays now, I know, after 2 years, 3 years almost, of proof of this, that any delay has a gift in it. I don't know what the gift is. I'd sometimes might never find out. But the other times I've always found out fairly frequently that there was a gift in this, and this is why that happened. Well, besides Murphy's Law or Murphy's blessing, there are these things called universal laws. These are truths beyond death and taxes that are about how our lives and the whole world operates. Murphy's Law may be a little bit whimsical. There's that kind of joke about, God created the earth and the world in 7 days, and then on the 8th day, God went fishing. And in a sense, that's what's true, that the energy that created this world is so divinely tuned. It's not like somebody has to keep tweaking it to make it work a little better. Think about it. The planets, we're not doing anything, and they're just in these wonderful, perfect orbits. And like our whole solar system is in an orbit within the Milky Way. Right where we are, there's this thing called gravity. It doesn't matter what you have or what you drop, gravity is going to work on it. could be that, that inexpensive little piece of glass you got, or it could be a Ming vase that's priceless and irreplaceable. If you let go of it, gravity kicks in. And then think about the tides. Unrelentlessly, the tides go in and out because of the pull of the moon. It's just this wonderful, intricate, multi-level, perfectly lawfully operating system in which we live, even down to the maple sap running every spring, knowing that the snow is over and getting ready for spring. It's just beautifully and so well done. So I'm going to go over some of the laws of the universe with you this week and actually next week. So the first law of the universe is actually an expression of unity's first two principles. The first law of the universe is divine oneness, that it's only one life expression, ultimately, many different ways that it shows up. And unity, of course, we say there's only one power and presence in the universe, whatever you want to call it. You want to call it God, you want to call it Allah, you want to call it divine love. There's only one. There's not an opposing power that's trying to upset the laws. And of course, the second unity principle is there's just one power, and we are part of it. There's a spark of that divinity, that oneness within each of us. So this first law of the universe, that it's divine oneness, that everything is interconnected. And when you think about everything, that includes you. It's not the world and you, it includes you. So every choice you make, every desire that you have, every belief you hold has an impact on our world, on other people, on our planet. Sometimes that impact is immediate and obvious. Sometimes it is delayed, like when you plant seeds and it's going to grow up and help take some of the carbon out of the air. And sometimes you'll never see what the result is. But there's a truth to it that we're all part of this oneness, so everything we do impacts everything else. Knowing this law really tells us that we're powerful. We have an ability within us to co-create a life, to co-create a world that's really worthy of co-creation. And also, when we understand that we're all connected, it allows us to truly be empathetic with other people. A couple years ago, Unity Convention, it was One Humanity, Many Stories. And out of that was the idea that if I knew your story, I couldn't help but love you. If I knew your story. So this ability of empathy, that we're writing this incredible story together, that there are no outsiders, we are all part of this oneness. Which brings me to law number 2, the law of vibration. I think that's why we love music, because it's always making these wonderful vibrations for us. One of the favorite creation stories for me in the Bible is in the Gospel of John, where it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Or in the beginning was the Logos, L-O-G-O-S. The Logos was God. Word is a vibration. And we talk about the Big Bang Theory. It's this huge eruption of movement within nothingness, within the void. That is the beginning. So, and that's where the vibration starts. Every particle in our world is in constant movement. And if you go to physics, physics ultimately tells you there is no thing in the world. There is nothing that is a thing. Everything is energy in motion. This world is just movement. This may feel solid. This floor may feel solid, but it's movement that is moving at such a rate that it gives me this ability for my senses to touch it. And everything has a specific frequency, unique to itself. And we tune into our frequency. Each of us, so every part of ourself is a frequency, and then collectively, as a person, I'm a frequency, and then my thoughts and beliefs and words that I speak and actions that I do create a frequency. That is me. That is you. And the neat thing is we can change our frequency just like you can change a thermostat. We all know when we've felt really low energy, we've felt that low frequency. Maybe we're having a health challenge, or maybe there's an emotional challenge to us, and you can feel you're really low energy that day. And you can do things like talk to a friend, it's like they feed you and help lift you up. Singing a song Listening to music will raise your energy. Saying affirmative prayer, positive building, energetically building words and thoughts and desires raise our energy. So knowing that this law of vibration, and we are a part of it because there's only one thing in the universe, and we get to have an impact on what that vibration is. Third law of the universe is the law of correspondence. And this does not mean sending letters to one another. It does not mean email. Correspondent is the idea of patterns. The old Greek adage, as above, so below. As above, so below. That there are patterns that repeat throughout the universe. And it's interesting that as we grow in understanding, we get to see more patterns. Some of them absolutely amaze me, and I wonder why I didn't even see that pattern before. One of the patterns, family patterns, are a lot. You'll see things repeating in families. And one of the ones that always sticks in my mind is my son wanted to play the tuba in high school. It's a big instrument to cart around. Well, my brother lived in another country because we were in Canada at the time, and my brother is much older than my son. But when Curtis was in high school, he adored the tuba. That was what he chose to play. Now, how do two males in the same family who have not had that kind of exposure to each other both get drawn to the tuba? There's some kind of family vibration there. I don't know what it is, but it's really interesting to observe. And one of the most fascinating patterns is a thing called fractals. If you've ever had an opportunity to get into a discussion about fractals. Fractals, here's the definition from Wikipedia. They're infinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across different scales. We're not talking about musical scales, but we're talking about size scale. So if you were to look at a tree and be able to look at it smaller and smaller and smaller, you would see a pattern that keeps repeating. As small as you get is the same pattern, and then that as big as you get is the same pattern. It's hard to believe, but it's true. They have wonderful computers that can take the pictures and show you what these fractal patterns are. They call it images of a dynamic system or a picture of chaos. And I love this because the order that we see in the trees and the tables, whatever, these fractals, we see it as orderly, but if we got deep enough, we could see the chaos, all these little different patterns. And somehow there's this wonderful correspondence of how it works together to give us our impression of reality. And if you think about it, we see our lives often as linear, especially when we're younger. Okay, from this date to this date, this is going to happen. From age to age, it's a very simple linear thing. And then as we grow in understanding, we start beginning to see things as three-dimensional and four-dimensional and multidimensional, that not only is this happening at a linear level, but it's radiating out in this vibrational thing in our universe to have an impact on other things or other people within our universe. So we begin to see spirals, and we begin to see other kind of patterns, and we see time patterns. And it's so overwhelming. I think every now and then we just get really the glimpse of the intricacy and the simplicity of life expressing. Law of correspondence. And then there's probably one of our favorite laws at Unity, the law of attraction. We kind of know that we can attract to us those things that we desire. And we know this just from regular socialization. Happy attracts happy. If you're happy and other people come around, they start getting happy too. It's almost contagious, right? If you're sad people like to gather together and be sad together. We feel comfortable in that vibration. How about anger? Things can be tense. One person goes off and gets angry, and all of a sudden the vibration of anger gets there. It just attracts more anger. It's just an incredible magnet and shift in the vibration of things. And we often talk with the law of attraction about manifestation, but that's like the result of this law of attraction. The law of attraction states that what we vibrate to attracts similar vibrations within our universe. So when we feel loving, of course we're going to attract more love. It's just kind of a natural state of harmony that we always seem to be attuned to. So being conscious of how we're feeling, how we're thinking, our perspective, our attitude, has this wonderful the possibility of having a wonderful impact, not only on those immediately around us, but on the entire world. And setting an intention, like we talked about last week, is really a great way to become a law of attraction for that which you want in your life, to attract, because it's never about the thing, it's always about the quality of life. You don't want necessarily the red sports car. You want what it would feel like to drive down the road in that red sports car. Could be a blue sports car. It could be a blue pickup truck. You just want that feeling of freedom, though you may image it a certain way. Then we have the law of inspired action. And this is really Unity's fifth principle. Unity has 5 very simple principles. And the fifth one says that knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. A person must live the truth that they know. So it's not enough to know it up here. We need to be the truth. We need to be the truth in action. We need to take steps. We need to let that vibration be a movement of us forward, be the action of spirit. I sometimes say it's like we need to put feet to our prayers. It's one thing to sit and pray for that job, but if you never get up and go out and apply for it, I mean, there needs to be some participation here. So this is that law of inspired action, that you have this desire, you have this idea that keeps coming into your head, like dancing before service when the band's playing music. I just the other day got this, well, of course, we can invite people to have a little movement there, a little dance out on the floor. So it's about acting on that guidance. How is it going to show up? And I also find that inspired guidance, inspired action, is fluid. You may have an idea that takes you down the road this far, and the only reason you got down the road this far is so that you could see the other path that's over there, right? You know, as you move, the perspective changes. So that's why the inspired action isn't like getting in concrete the ideas. It's about really being attuned to that direction, attuned to that possibility, attuned to a step that will take you to another step, or to another step, however many steps there are until you get to your desired outcome. So you can think about it that our intention is the law of attraction. It's the desires. But attention, really giving it attention and doing it, that's the law of inspired action. That's putting an investment, putting our money where our mouth is, our energy where our mouth is, putting that all together. And, you know, this law of inspired action, I was out back yesterday, and the bullfrogs were out there singing. And they have this wonderful deep bass that would probably rival Justin on his bass player. It had that same kind of vibration going through it. And you just knew that they were inspired to sing. In fact, they even had an audience. There was a geese there watching them. See, these patterns repeat, and repeat. They interact. We inspire other life on this planet. It's just a wonderful, great system. And the last law I want to share with you this morning is the law of the perpetual transmutation of energy. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. And this law, though that's not what I call it, is the one thing that is my bedrock whenever I doubt what I'm doing, or doubt that this can happen, or have any of those kind of doubts. It actually came from Einstein. In physics, it's called the conservation of energy, E equals mc squared. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. So if you think about it, this whole universe, the amount of energy is constant. And we know that it's also constantly in motion, it's constantly vibrating. You think about taking a log and putting it on a fire, and you go, well, see there, I just destroyed that log. No, that log turned into heat and light and gas. So all matter and all psychological processes, thoughts, emotions, belief, attitudes, they're all composed of energy. And when you think about it applied to our body, our atoms, the molecules in our body, the tissues are composed of this energy. And you put this all together, it creates this human energy field that we are, that cannot be created or destroyed, only can change form. So that's why sometimes when we stuff those emotions down, we sometimes find a dis-ease within our body, because that energy that we're trying to pretend isn't there has to either be or change form. We can't just say, poof, you're gone. You need to do the work to transform it. The law of perpetual mutation of energy. So this week, I would invite you to become a law-abiding citizen. And if you can't remember all the laws, remember the first one. There is only one. There is only one. So next week we'll cover the rest of the laws, and it's Father's Day next week, so I thought the appropriate talk title would be Laying Down the Law. Doesn't Dad always lay down the law? And also next week we are going to do a blessing of baby Corbin Nelson. So I'm so excited to, it's been a long time since we blessed a baby in our community here, so that's wonderful. With that, we're going to take a little time of meditation. I should take a deep breath. Just to relax wherever you are. Oh, yeah. Just take another deep breath. Just noticing that very subtle vibration of the breath as it moves into your body. Something we do so often we don't even think about it. That wonderful process of taking in what we need and letting out, releasing that which no longer blesses us. As we continue a conscious breath, we allow ourselves to open up to that idea of divine oneness. An idea that is so gigantic. Our own imagination diminishes it. But as we breathe in, we allow that breath moving through us, this breath that has been breathed by giant oaks and tiny chipmunks, by world leaders and peasants. The same molecules that have moved through all that life is right now moving in and through us. As we delve ever more deeply into that divine idea of oneness, we may have those moments of insight where that which differentiates us seems to melt away, and we feel the connection, the movement of the oriole, the swaying of the willow. We are life being life, raindrops from the sky moving into the rivers, feeding the roots of so many forms of vegetation. We are the plant, we are the raindrop, we are the movement, the vibration of life. We are that divine energy, constant motion, repeating the patterns of life that have existed before time itself. The patterns of God-mind, the interconnected patterns of love. As we breathe ever so gently, ever so much more deeply into this idea, we feel the eons that have been before us and the infinity that stretches in front of us. We are the motion. The motion is us. And in that motion, we bring into our orbit the desires of our heart, the intentions that we set into motion through our beliefs, through our thinking. As we strive to bring in the very highest vibrations of love and harmony and connectedness, we become that attracting force within our universe, raising the vibration of this one infinite divinity. Inspired to do those things that are ours to do. We are assured that there is an unfoldment of a purpose to create ever more of the ultimate oneness in our world. So just take a moment to breathe into that knowing, to relax into that vastness, to energize into the truth, the law of life itself. And so it is. Amen. It's big, big stuff. So this week, why don't you just pick a law and see if you can work with it. I posted them up on Facebook if you didn't take notes. And with that, I'm going to invite the wonderful divine order of Linda Abar to come up here and share a vibration that is sure to touch our hearts.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we may never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me comes from what I've learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wave on the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, to clear the air. I ask forgiveness for the things you say I've blamed you for. And I guess we know that there is blame to share, but none of that seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better, because I knew you. Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Thank you, Linda. That was wonderful. Now is the time we enter into a time of joy as we celebrate our abundance, both as a community and for each of us individually. We acknowledge that God is our source of supply, which lavishly flows to us through many channels. The Unity community, which is all of us, enjoys a stream of supply of time, talent, and treasure, which meets and exceeds any demands. We celebrate abundant resources that fulfill our every need as we co-create a new spiritual home that serves us well. Allow the words of celebration I speak to be the words of your own heart. We join efforts in thought, prayer, and action to bless our earthly abundance to meet all the needs of our spiritual home, even as our personal supply meets and exceeds our individual needs. We bless these gifts that we have given and the gifts that we continue to receive, and so it is. Amen. We are very grateful for the love offerings this ministry has received from all the members of this community, both online and through the mail. Thank you, each and every one of you, who continues to so generously support this ministry during this extraordinary time. We also celebrate the PPP grant we received, which will help us cover expenses until we are fully functioning again. We are a tithing congregation, and it's with added celebration that we tithe of our abundance with others. Our congregants' choice for the second quarter of this year is the Greater Lansing Food Bank. They continue to do such a remarkable job responding to greatly increased demands during this pandemic. We thank them for their selfless work and know that our gift will go forward to do great things. We are thankful for the gifts our Unity community, and we are thankful for the gifts that have blessed our Unity community, as well as celebrating the gifts we have each been given. In alignment with the law of the universe and Unity principles, we vibrate as a welcome vessel to receive our many blessings. Our hearts are an open channel to receive all the good we desire as our hearts fill and overflow. Whatever we each have experienced with this week, let us take a moment to express our deep appreciation for the love, the kindness, the support, and the thoughtfulness of the blessings that have poured into our lives. Let us affirm together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Now let us join together in our closing song, I Choose Love, followed by the prayer of protection.
Come on up here, Stacey. I'm going to give you a mic. Words are there. Peace in my life, growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us, it can't be undone. I choose love. Peace on our planet, growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us, let this be the one. I choose love. You choose love. We choose love. Take it away.
The light of God
Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God lies within us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. We're vibrating. See you next week. Little dancing music.